I want to switch gears here for a second. I want to give you a window into what it's like to report one very difficult, very underreported story in this country right now. By tonight at least, we thought we'd be able to give you some new information about a story that we've been working on for a few weeks now. USA Today actually had a great update on this today. They spoke with doctors and nurses who are part of the recovery effort in Puerto Rico, where even now, a month and a half after the storm, that island still has not restored electricity or running water. The doctors and nurses USA Today spoke to are now reporting widespread symptoms related to unclean water in Puerto Rico. They also published this photo of the kind of water people are getting out of the tap in places where they do have running water right now. Look at the blue color. That's from a town 20 miles outside the capital in Puerto Rico. So we've been following the public health threat posed by the lack of access to water in Puerto Rico and how American citizens in Puerto Rico are having to make do to find whatever water sources they can. There have been very good, very critical reports recently from CNN and BuzzFeed about whether or not we really know what the overall death toll is in Puerto Rico, especially given evidence that hundreds of bodies were cremated in Puerto Rico soon after the storm, with nobody ever making any determination as to whether those deaths should have been considered storm-related. Well, in covering the issue of potential waterborne disease caused by the lack of running water since the storm, we have been chasing the data on how many people have died specifically from waterborne illnesses since the hurricane. Right? The storm's official death toll is only 54. I mean, only 54. 54, which, you know, given that hundreds of bodies were cremated after the storm, there's a lot of pressure on that number. Official death toll is 54. The government says that of those 54, there are 3 deaths so far that they attribute to a waterborne illness called leptospirosis. 3. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing I want to show you. In addition to the 3 deaths from lepto that the government says are official, the government also told us that there are another 76 cases that are under suspicion, being investigated. What we have been trying to determine is if that means there are another 76 fatalities they are investigating as having been possibly caused by this waterborne illness. I mean, if we've only got an official death toll of 54, is the government looking at another 76 possible deaths here? That is an answerable question, but that is not a question the government will answer. All right, and this is what I want to show you. This is Rachel Maddow show producer Lisa Ferry trying to pry that known and knowable information out of the government. I realize we're kind of showing you our work here, but just listen to this. I want you to hear this. This makes me insane.
Of those outstanding cases, how many of them are fatalities?
Okay, what I can say is that that is under investigation.
Is it possible that of those outstanding 70-some-odd cases, that some or many of them are dead?
We have to do the confirmation testing just to make sure that it's lepto.
Do you even know how many of the 74 cases are fatalities?
We have 76 suspected cases. Of those, we have 2 confirmed fatal cases and 2 confirmed hospitalized cases.
And of the remaining 72, are any of those fatalities?
We have 72 suspected cases that we still have to investigate if they're confirmed or not.
But right, you have to investigate whether they're lepto or not, but do you know if they're alive or not?
First, we have to confirm if they're positive or not.
Do you even know if they're alive?
Yeah, we have a list of who is a fatal and who's not, and we're getting samples from all of them.
So I understand your office won't confirm if those 76 patients are alive or dead.
Well, absolutely, we know who's dead and who's not. The thing is, we at this point, once we have those results, we will give that information, sure.
Absolutely, we know who's dead and who's not, but we're not going to tell you. We're not going to release that information yet. I have to tell you, we have been sitting on that for several days now. We've been waiting for the yet. We've been waiting to get the information that we were promised there, because the CDC in Atlanta would not tell us. They sent us to Puerto Rico's Department of Health. Then the Puerto Rico Department of Health would not tell us. They sent us to the state epidemiologist, and the state epidemiologist told us that this week they'd let us know. They'd let us know how many dozens of those cases were fatalities. And whether we're potentially looking at a death toll, not from the storm, but from the botched response to the storm, that could be more than double what they're currently admitting to. They know whether these 70-plus cases they're investigating of waterborne illness are from people who have died or from people who haven't. They know that, but they will not tell us. Again, they do know how many of these suspected cases of lepto have been fatal. They just don't want us to know. The government told us a week ago tonight that they would be announcing these new results from the CDC in Atlanta this week with an updated number of fatalities. We waited all week. It's Friday night now. There's a reason we didn't do this until now. We've been calling. We have been following up. They have not released the numbers. And we will stay on this. But Puerto Rico tonight still doesn't have running water. And as far as we can tell, the ongoing death toll because of that should be regarded as unknown, at least as of now. Watch this space.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.